So in my previous video, I discussed about how to set up the Surface Forge, how to install it, and what to enable in plugins and also in the project settings. In this video, we will be looking at layering and how they function. So we have three layers here that are the main defining factors. Layer A being the base layer. This is the one that's on the bottom, so to speak, and will always be taken over by something like layer B or layer C, or slope, curvature, and snow, and also puddles. But one thing that you could do is you can say that you want slope to be underneath layer A always, which means that wherever layer A is displayed, slope will not appear, or they will blend together. Layer B will always take over layer A, but it can be painted away, and the same thing with layer C. And then layer B and layer C interact quite heavily between height blends, and obviously they also interact with layer A on height blends, but what I'm saying is that layer B and layer C are the most involved into that. Curvature is driven by a texture, so you can use a curvature texture, or you could use a noise texture to add another layer or other surface details. You can also add a snow layer that will take over any other layer. It will be on top of any other layer, and you can also paint it away or paint it in. And then you've also got puddles, which is a different kind of layer. It's not part of this the core 6, as I call them. It's more of a mathematically centric layer that adds a lot of detail on puddles atop all the other layers combined, and it's also paintable or removable. And that's kind of methodology of layers. Now let's have a look in Unreal Engine at how these kind of work together. So in Unreal Engine, we're going to use the material that we've created before and added on. We've got material A in here, and we're going to actually scale the tiling on this to 5 so we can see it a bit better. You can see that layer A, or the red layer, the first layer from RGB, this is the one that's displaying. If you want to add an extra layer, you want to go to material blending and enable 2-in-1 material blending. Now nothing's really happened, and that's because layer B is currently not painted in. We haven't painted in any particular way, and we also haven't enabled anything like height blending. You could enable height blending, which means that layer B will immediately take over layer A entirely, and there is no real way of bringing it back unless you paint it in or paint it out. Now we could add the blend mask for B, right? So if we click that button here, new options will appear, and now it's saying, it's, for example, we got here add mesh paint blend mask, right? This means that if you use mesh paint, you can paint layer B or layer A in or out. You could also do this for vertex color, and you can also use it as a texture blend. We're going to use mesh paint in this particular case. I'm going to open the mesh paint up here, this panel, going to select my mesh, go to texture color and press add. Now I go and go to paint, and I can paint on red, green, or blue. So if I paint red, you can see in here, I am bringing in that blue color, the second layer. I can also print green, which will kind of do the same thing, but with some other caveats, depending on what sort of setup we've done here in the material instance. And if we paint blue, nothing will really happen because layer C is not enabled. And that's where we can do 3-in-1 material blending. And now we can also use blend mask C. And as you can see about C, it's taken over everything. We could enable height blending for C as well. And now you can kind of see that if we paint the blue channel, it's showing that in. And actually the blue channel is kind of defining between layer A and layer C. We can also try to paint again layer green, the green channel here, like that. The reason why you're seeing it painting it in multiple places, even though you're only painting in one place, is because that's how the UVs of this mesh is set up. They're overlapping UVs, so that's why mesh painting does require somewhat clean UVs on your meshes, while vertex painting does not. We could disable mesh paint right now entirely, so there's no more mesh painting going on, and we can go to add vertex color to blend mask, which means that we now have the vertex color being used. And we could go over into modeling mode, go over to attributes and paint vertex colors. This is something that we'll explore later on in videos. I am going to fill black, so there's no paint information at all. And if I go paint vertex color again, and I select the red channel, and we're painting with the red channel, and then we can switch over from lit vertex color to original material, and you can see in there that the green the third layer has been painted in. Now we could go over and do the green channel like that, right? And we can go over here and do the blue channel. But now you're noticing that there's nothing showing up, right? And even if we switch over to lit vertex color, nothing has been painted. And that's because vertex coloring is a mess in Unreal Engine, to be honest. You have to have a look at the paint color here, and you've got to make sure that this paint color is set to white. And now you can paint in every color that you want. So you can see here I'm adding blue, and then I can disable blue and instead add green. And then I can switch over to original material, and you can see just the paints that I've made. Now, interestingly, both the red channel and the blue channel paint have added the same type of sort of like, you know, actually if I'll show you. If I go to lit vertex color and I select RGB, you can see that red and blue created the same effect, while green created another one. So this if we go over to original material, this painted the second layer, and both red and blue painted the painted the third layer every time, okay? And that's because the height blending here needs to be changed. And if we start having a look at these details and start playing around with the contrast, the transition phases, and so on, you will be able to start noticing some changes into the material. You can see that there. Now, the transitions are very subtle and they're also very uniform, and that's because all the displacement textures being used in these materials are very flat. Not in the sense of that there's no displacement, there is displacement. I mean, if I actually go over down here to displacement mask and enable displacement, you'll notice that there's quite a lot of depth into this, right? In terms of like how displaced this entire thing is, okay? We can also go to material C and do its tiling as a 5 as well. If you don't see it, right, I'll enable it, but if you don't see it, just make sure that you do have in here tessellation on, which it is on, and then, you know, play around with the magnitude if you need to increase it. And if you're still not seeing it, it could also be because your displacement is like you're not using a nanite mesh. So you have to make sure that all of your meshes are nanite. And also you need to ensure that you're out of vertex paint mode, because you'll never be able to see displacement when you're in this mode. So if you click accept, our displacement should now start working, and there it is. There you have it. That's the displacement enabled. Okay. Moving on to the next layers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable 2-in-1 and 3-in-1. Well, actually, if you disable 2-in-1, 3-in-1 automatically gets disabled. I am going to put this displacement value to like a 2 or something like that, just so it's a lot better to see. And what I want to show you next is the slope material. So if we go over here and click on the slope material, pretty explanatory. You can see there the slope material has just appeared, okay? And if we scroll down, you can change its settings, and it does have some slope, contrast, and fall off power. So for example, this could be 0, and this could be 1 maybe, or this could be 0 as well. And as I said, this is a slope material. You've also got a slope angle. You could decide, I want this to come, well, actually, I don't want this to come from the top. I want it to come from this side. So you can see now it's just coming from that side. But maybe you want to do it like a 0.7, and maybe you want this to be like a 0.2 or 0.45 or something like that. And maybe you want the contrast to be a bit, well, sorry, I've kind of gone the other way. You maybe want this at 0.5, and then you want to play around a little bit with the contrast or not. You can see how powerful this can be once you get the hang of it, right? And you again got tiling in here, and you can do that. And this is the slope material. Now I'm going to disable the slope material from my material blending, and instead I'm going to have a look at doing well, enabling this snow layer. Let's try the snow layer. So we can go up here, which is the first one, enable snow. I'm not going to play around with the snow layer at all, really, because it's, again, it functions exactly like the slope, but it's now adding snow, and it's got a bunch of details and a bunch of options in here that you can use for snow blending. And we will go through some of that later on in the videos. Now we're going to disable snow and instead look at something else. we can also enable a curvature layer, which is down here, material CR. You can enable curvature manipulation. By default, when you enable this, you get a curvature coloring mode. You might also get an error like we have right now because it's saying in here it's got a VT texture. It shouldn't have a VT texture. I'm just going to search for the texture. So if you get errors like that, just take a look, right? It's the error is in the display, is in here in the actual material details. So if you get an error like this, you just want to swap this out for oh, sorry, I have curvature map uses VT. I just have to disable that, and there we go. That's now fixed the issue. I didn't have to drop in a texture at all. Okay, so we've got curvature, but it's not, you know, it's enabled, but it's not really doing anything. I'm going to change this to a noise. Maybe I'm going to use this noise, okay? And now I want to have an intensity, tiling, curvature, contrast, and a color. So let's do a blue, a dark blue, and press OK. You can kind of see these spots all around. Maybe we can do like a 5 or a 2 or a 3. So that's using a noise, right, in order to drive this curvature. But I could, however, go and change it to something else. Now I do believe I do have a texture in here somewhere in the Surface Forge in textures. I believe it's in placeholders. Or maybe not. I'm not quite sure what I've left there, but I've definitely got a texture somewhere around here. Oh yeah, there we go. So we could put that on. And now the intensity is too much, so I can probably do like a 1. Maybe play around a little bit with the contrast. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one because you kind of... I've sort of like layered this properly further down into this example here. You can see it right here, right? So if you follow these settings for this particular mesh, it will work just fine. But yeah, you can use a texture to basically determine where the curvature will show up. And it's actually quite neat because it can add so much more detail. And you can always use curvature material layer instead of just coloring, which means that you can now load up a texture in here, and we can do tiling for this as well. This is a full layer now. And as you can see, this is you know, doing that. We could always change to a noise. Oh, sorry. And you can see, oh, maybe that, yeah, maybe that noise a bit too strong. I'll just try something like that. And then the contrast, the 5. And as you can see, right, you can see that curvature being spawned based on a noise. And again, that can add another blend. And if we disable this layer, this curvature layer, we now have the final one, which will be water puddles. So we can go to water puddles and enable this. And by default, it may, you know, it will display into crevices like here, right? You can see that's the water puddle. It doesn't really have any features right now. We could increase the puddle height, you know, maybe get the puddle to be a bit stronger onto this mesh or onto the top here. Right? We can also look at some slope contrasts. You know, maybe this is a bit too much, too strong. I don't know, maybe something like that, right? But again, very featureless water. We can have a look at its tint. Maybe we can make, you know, well, that's a bit too strong, isn't it? But I'll try something like that, okay? And here's where the magic starts to happen. You can then use puddle waves, which will enable waves for the puddles. And if you can't see those waves, you can just go over here into your normal intensity and do like a 0.7, right? Maybe 0.2 is too much, 0.9 or something like that. You can also look at activating ripples, which will allow for the surface of the water to receive ripples. And you may also enable droplets, which is a very nice feature, which allows for droplets to spawn on top of the mesh here. You can see them right there. Those are the droplets. And you have a bunch of you know, options in here. But on top of that, you can also use drips. And these drips will cause these water sort of lines to run down. And again, if they're moving too fast, you have a lot of, you know, got a lot of options in here to decrease that. So for example, water leaks move very fast due to permeability. So you want to check in here for water permeability and set that to maybe like a 0.8. And now you can see that these droplets go down very slowly. Obviously, you've got tiling for them and all sorts of other things in here. But you've also got for droplets, maybe you want a higher tiling, maybe something like that, or maybe that's a bit too much, 0.2, 0.3, maybe something like that. And then you might want their frequency to be lower, maybe like a 1 or even a 0.5, so they appear and disappear a bit slower, right? So that's all fun and games with the layering system, and that's what I wanted to show you basically, so you can understand just the basics of all the layers of the Surface Forge. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you stick to the next video where we discuss a new topic.